Hi, this is Sara Abrons, Executive Editor at Rave Publications, and I'm here just before the show opens on day 2 of Digital Signage Expo in Las Vegas. And I'm here in the Epson booth with Gavin Downey, who is Product Manager for Projectors at Epson. How are you?
Good morning, Sarah. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. And how's the show been for you so far?
It's been a great show for us. I mean, it's an exciting extension of the projection business and the projector industry where, a lot of our customers and clients are looking for new solutions to add dimensions to digital signage. And they really want to move beyond just pure information into a space where it's more experiential. So we're highlighting a lot of very innovative displays here, and it's been a really good response. We've had a great response thus far.
That's great. And what is your overarching theme here at the show this year?
So I think the overarching theme is really redefining customer experiences. So we're providing entirely new experiences, whether it's in a retail environment, large-scale projection mapping in public spaces or corporate spaces. So it really spans the entire display industry, but it's really adding an additional layer to information and moving into the realm of experience. And that's helping like retailers redefine what it is to come to a store, or content and creative communities and how they're executing their vision using display technologies. It's just a really exciting time for our industry.
Mm-hmm. And of course, new projection technologies have really allowed projectors to become a viable source for digital signage, and you guys are doing a lot to do the more experiential things here in the booth.
Yeah, I think you raise a really interesting point. I mean, if you go back, if you go back 5, 6, 7 years, projectors were traditionally lamp driven. They tended to be larger. They put out more heat. They were a little bit louder. And now you're seeing advancements in so many aspects of the display industry. So we've got laser projection, which makes them lighter and brighter and quieter. Liquid cooling, even on the software aspect, like media serving and projection mapping, that's becoming so sophisticated. And you see sort of carryover into the movie industry and the broadcast industry. So between software, laser, and even the creative community, I mean, everything at our booth, you've got creative companies that are doing incredible things with projection mapping. We've got very, very powerful software and media servers running in the booth. We've got new screen technologies from partners such as Daylight. So it's coming together to make a very exciting time, and where projection is being considered as part of the digital signage landscape. But more importantly, I think you're seeing an entirely new part of the industry being born, which is digital experiences.
Well, can you give me a quick booth tour so we can see what you're showing here?
Absolutely, thank you.
Okay. I think we're going to start with what's right behind us here. So tell me a little bit about this.
Sure. So what you see here is really, it's just a basic wall. It's not even a really high-tech screen. It's a basic vinyl covered wall that's 12 foot by 18 foot, and we've completely transformed it into sort of a magical landscape. And it's being powered by two 15,000 lumen projectors with ultra short throw lenses. So you can walk almost all the way up to the screen without throwing a shadow. So it becomes very, very immersive. And you'll notice it's high resolution. So the 15,000 lumen projectors are stacked to make for almost 30,000 lumens of brightness. And then we actually have a camera that's mounted up between the projectors. And if you stand on there, the content starts to magically transform. So it goes from daytime to nighttime. And then if you stand over there, it transforms even further, right? So you've got a very engaging display. And what ultimately was required to make this huge display was just to hang two projectors. So if this were an LED wall, you'd have many, many panels having to be fed different power sources, you'd have a large media server behind it, but it's just a basic wall. It'll take us a half an hour to break this down, where other competing technologies, the complexity, power consumption, feeding it media are much more complicated, expensive, and power hungry.
Yeah, that's some really beautiful content you have there. It reminds me of Pandora. So I think over here you have some retail solutions, is that right?
Yeah, so if you look over here, it's really how can we use projection to redefine the in-store experience. So a lot of brick and mortar retail stores are trying to bring the excitement that you find online by adding additional context. And we're using our light scene projectors here, which if you look up into the truss, They look very much like can lighting. So yeah, you see it throughout your whole life, right? And that just tells you it's just going to be a light. So when someone sees what's happening with the projection, it's like magic. So you're seeing projection technology being integrated into retail spaces, and you look on the floor, it's wayfinding. So from very high level redefining the retail experience to simple wayfinding, all in a package, very compact. So I think without laser technology, without even, these are fed content via micro SD cards, so content is local. So you don't have to feed content to it from like having to wire it to a data closet or anything like that. So it really represents the coming together of a lot of different technologies to solve a very real problem of brick and mortar, of how do you make shopping more experiential, how do you provide all the information that one would find online. So it's super exciting.
Yeah, a colleague of mine was just telling me about how he just spec'd a bunch of the light scenes in an installation because they have to go back and forth between German and English.
Oh, cool.
And it allows them to put digital signage in unique areas, like not flat surfaces, but they don't have to use printed materials and go back and forth between that. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That's right. It's actually an eco-friendly, it's very eco-friendly in terms of, replacing a lot of print. Like people are using it for even traditional signage where you would have to print different campaigns several times a month and put them in light boxes. Like you can instantaneously change all your campaigns with LightScene. It's a really neat application. We're getting a lot of interest in it from the creative community, from the retail community, and visual merchandising communities, which are here at DSE 2019, so we're very excited to see them.
And you really barely can tell it's a projector. It looks just like track lighting.
It disappears. It's an amazing form factor.
Okay, well, let's keep going.
Okay. So this station's really just about how we can transform physical spaces and add very compelling content. We're showing fine art photography here. Epson's a leader in fine art photography printing, and I think it really sort of illustrates how our long-standing focus on image quality, color reproduction, as a company, it's in our DNA to ensure that images are as beautiful and true to the artist's vision as they can possibly be. And that goes everything from our projection products all the way over to our fine art photography products. And we use a lot of fine art photography to demonstrate the capabilities of our laser projectors. So what we're really showing here is Epson photography and the ability to transform what essentially is just a standard wall, right? It's just a basic wall, into a very compelling art display. Again, one projector or two projectors, very easy to assemble and deploy and disassemble. And if we turn it off, you get your wall back. And that's very different against competing technologies such as flat panel or LED wall. We can turn these off and it really changes the mood of the room.
Definitely.
So we're showing here is again, it's sort of a take on retail, but I think what we're seeing is boutique or pop-up retail spaces where they don't want to spend a lot of money to transform a space, and that's the power of projection, particularly using LightScene where it really is camouflaged. So you don't really understand where the atmosphere or ambiance is coming from. The reality is coming from a very compact, efficient source. And in a pop-up scenario or a coffee scenario, you can provide a tremendous amount of information, but you can also provide like an ambiance and a background that sort of is in line with the vision and the aesthetic vision of whoever the owner of that space is. So projection is really replacing a lot of very expensive physical work that would have to be done, particularly in pop-up scenarios.
Yeah, in this application, it really does look like a nicely printed sign until you see the animation come in with the names on the orders on the right there.
That's right.
And then you think it's an odd-looking flat panel display. It's not until you look up that you'd realize it was projection.
Yeah, I think another interesting difference is it doesn't have glare, right? It's very kind of
it looks really flat.
Yeah, it's very peaceful and easy to look at, right? So it's obviously reflected light, so it's easy on the eyes. And to your point, like you could tell entire stories about the coffee and where it's from. You could play video of the farms where the coffee is grown, or even how it's imported. So you could just tell so many more stories with projection in the retail environment than you can with traditional print. Yeah. So over here, this is probably one of the more exciting aspects of what we're seeing. is projection on glass. So this is actually rear projection. So we have projectors behind this, and it's projecting onto a film that's been placed on the glass. So think about all the different places where we have glass, retail storefronts, you can hang glass panels in museums, and it just opens up a whole new area of telling stories, both informational stories and aesthetic, artistic stories. And the use of glass and projection is a brand new industry. It's exciting because it's evolving so quickly. And what you can see here is incredibly high resolution, right? You've got 3 projectors projecting WUXGA, and when compared to a traditional like an LED wall, achieving WUXGA is very, very expensive and complicated. Just plugging in 3 projectors to standard power is powering this entire display. And again, this will be very quick to break down. It was very quick to set up, and it's relatively inexpensive for the resolution and brightness that you're able to achieve in a small space.
Okay, so this is rear projection onto glass?
Exactly. So, I mean, when you think about everything that we're showing here, it's really about the power of projection and the time that we're at today in our industry, where laser projection, incredible developments on software, projection mapping, the creative community around it, whether it's on Broadway or the theater or in digital agencies, and then how that's being deployed in public art spaces, corporate spaces, and taken all together, it's really about moving the digital signage industry from pure information and adding an experiential component on top of that for a more holistic approach to display technology. So it's a really exciting time for our entire industry. It's been a great show for us here at DSE 2019.
That's great. I think we have one more display in the back. Did you want to take a look at that one?
Sure, why not? Let's do it.
Okay,
It's great.
thanks.
So you'll notice that we took the screen all the way to the edge, and this has been probably one of the more interesting displays that we've had. People have come from all around the show floor to come see it. It's extremely wide. Most people don't understand how it's being done. They think it might be an LED wall, but it's very high resolution. The reality is we have 3 projectors sort of hidden here in the
Short throw projection.
Yeah, exactly. So we're using short throw projection. We're throwing 45,000 lumens up. It's edge blended. And the content, again, is through some of our relationships with fine art photography. So very high resolution, very low intrusion, right? You're not really sure how it's being done. And that's just a simple screen. You can pick that screen up, and 2 people can pick it up. If that were a video wall, it would take a tremendous amount of time. It would probably be lower resolution, and it would be very power hungry. So
is that 3 projectors edge blended?
It's 3 projectors edge blended, and it just looks stunning. We've had tremendous response at the show for this wall. So it's representing everything that we're trying to do here at DSE 2019, and we appreciate you coming by.
Yeah, thanks so much, Gavin. Really appreciate the time today.
Good to see you.
Be sure to type Epson into the search bar right above this video, and you can get individual product videos on everything we've seen here today, including the light scene projector. Thanks again, and have a great show.